Hello, everyone, and welcome to DreamLeapers Inspiration. I'm your host, Harriet Cole. Always happy to connect with you in this way as we begin our week to tap into our greatness. That is something that I think we can pause for a moment and think, what does that mean? And do you believe that you have greatness? Do you believe that greatness lives within you? Do you really believe it? And I wanna say that for most of us, there are times when we believe it. There are times when we feel really strong that like that muscle of self-confidence is it can flex, we feel good, we feel capable, we feel like we can do whatever is before us. And that feeling helps us to stand tall and put our shoulders back and breathe deeply and march forward. And then sometimes we don't. There's a term that people use these days called imposter syndrome. I think sometimes all of us, all of us, I have not yet met anyone who has told me that they have never felt a lack of confidence. All of us, I believe, have moments when we doubt. All of us have moments when we just are not certain of what's next. We're not certain how to navigate when things happen in our lives that throw us. Often the shock of being thrown, especially if something occurred with a loved one, can unnerve us to the point where we fall off center. And I know that has happened to me on many occasions, if I'm honest, or at different points in my life. And the only way that I have found to work through and then move on, the only way that has worked is to forgive. Now, what do I mean by that? It could be forgiving yourself for doing something that you know wasn't smart, that set you back in a particular way, that you know, set you up for failure or had you be unkind to someone else unnecessarily. There's the forgiveness of others who didn't treat you well, who didn't care for you in the way you wanted to be cared for, who out and out were mean or rude or disrespectful or whatever those things might be. There's a list. We can all come up with a list of things that have occurred that, wouldn't it be good to forgive in this situation? And very often we don't want to, very often. And I have shared before, I had a very close friend. I called her my best friend when I was a little girl, and we were friends for many years. And it was not the best relationship. I think I was the clingy one, and I've said this many times, clingy is not attractive, but I was the clingy one, and she was nice sometimes and not nice other times, and finally, something happened that really made me have to walk away, and I held on to the grudge of that for a long time, way too long. Pardon me, I have a cold. Way too long. And my dearest friend from home said to me at one point, this is years ago, you need to forgive her. And I was like, I don't want to forgive her. She doesn't deserve to be forgiven. She did this, 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 and this. And she says, yeah, but and I said, why should I forgive her? And she wanted me not only to forgive her, but to reach out to her. Like, why should I do that? She said, because you have the capacity to do it, because you can. And I pushed back on that like nobody's business. I'm not doing it. I shouldn't have to do it. Over time, my friend kept talking to me and letting me understand, yeah, there's a lesson to be learned, maybe many lessons to be learned, but one of them that would be good for me and also for her would be to offer forgiveness. And the forgiveness, by the way, was not just to this other person. Yes, to forgive her for the things that she had done and said that were so unkind and hurt me deeply that I have never forgotten, but also to forgive myself for allowing myself to be hurt for so long. Life is filled with choices, people, and we have the choice to let stuff go. It is not easy to do, but sometimes we have to. And when we let things go and just allow ourselves to embrace peace and to step into our power, to allow our greatness to fill us, life changes. And you may not realize it. For me, I can tell you, I didn't realize it. But when I actually made the decision to forgive this person and then speak to her, reach out to her, and it had been years I hadn't talked to her, the process began for me to heal. And it took way too long. But I realized things take as long as they take. But when you choose to forgive, that circle of forgiveness can be healing. If you don't choose to forgive and allow yourself to just wallow in whatever it is that is happening to you, that did happen to you, you perish on some level. Your spirit perishes, your body can perish, your mind. These things happen when people do not forgive. Sometimes their insides eat them alive, is what it seems like. There was a woman from my neighborhood in Baltimore who was very close to my mother. And I remember that her husband left her at about the time that their son went to college. And it was devastating for her. She never got over it. She was so sad, so hurt, never got over it. And she actually got sick and died. Now, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Can't be proven. Or maybe it could be proven, but it wasn't. If that she died of a broken heart. People say that all the time. I think it's because it's true. You can die of a broken heart if you do not forgive. Okay, whatever happened, forgive. Choose. Make it an active thing that you do. Like choice is a verb, right? Choose to forgive. Not easy. Sometimes it is so incredibly difficult. And if you can't make that choice, if you don't make that choice, what happens? What happens is there's bitterness all around you. You don't attract light, you don't attract joy because it's almost like Linus in Peanuts, and there's a dark cloud. Wasn't that Linus? There's a dark cloud kind of hanging over your head. It's not attractive. Forgiveness is attractive. If you have the posture of openness in your relationships, that you accept people for who they are as you accept yourself for who you are. Hello, that's one of the hardest, to accept yourself for who you are with everything about you, your strengths, your weaknesses, your frailties, your idiosyncrasies, all the things that make you you. If you tell yourself the truth right this minute. Right now, I'm asking you, tell yourself, you're only telling you. Do you fully accept yourself in all the facets that make you you? That's a tough question, and most people cannot say yes, honestly. Most people will say, well, I'll be happy when this occurs. I will I will be able to have my best life when this occurs. It's often something in the future, something down the line, as opposed to I am content with who I am right now in all of my greatness and challenges. I love me for who I am. An exercise that I often do in workshops, which I describe it, have people come up on stage and imagine that they're standing in front of a full-length mirror, and imagine that they have taken off all of their clothes, everything, every stitch. The only thing they could keep on is their glasses if they're like me and they can't see. And and imagine that you're standing in front of a mirror, looking at yourself, turning slowly, and as you look head to toe, front to back, you are telling yourself, "I love you just the way you are." And you're smiling. I love you just the way you are. And you're turning. I love you just the way you are. And you turn all the way around. Look over your shoulder at your back. You still say it, no matter what that backside looks like. I love you just the way you are. I tell people now when you go home tonight, actually do it in front of your mirror. This is not easy. It is not easy to love yourself wherever you are. So most people want to lose weight. So when you stand in that mirror and you physically look at yourself, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't take off my clothes and look at myself head to toe, front to back. No, I can't do it. I could look in 20 pounds less, 50 pounds less. Some people, a few people need to gain. Oh, I can't do it. I can't look. I need to gain 20, need to gain 50, whatever it might be. Okay, all of us take a breath, stand in front of that mirror and say, I love you just the way you are. What happens when you do that is that you can then take the next choice that is good for you, that is thoughtful, that is loving. So if the next choice is, I need to exercise, I need to strengthen this vessel that I'm blessed to have. I need to go out and make sure that I can get stronger so that my life can be that much better. I need to make sure that I nourish myself better so that I can be the most powerful, capable person that I can be. That happens, believe it or not, when you love yourself. That happens when you say, oh, I love you just the way you are. And I love you enough to do what needs to be done to be stronger, healthier, more able to do whatever is on my list of things to do. Does that make sense to you? It really does work. And so in the space of forgiveness, you stand in the mirror and go, wow, how did I get here? Oh no, I'm so mad at myself for this, and this that I should have done and I didn't do. And now here's where I end up. Stop. Stop blaming. Stop making the list of negatives. Stop. Instead, make the list of positives, of affirmations, of things that you will do right now to take better care of yourself. Choose to forgive yourself for the things that happened in the past and to love yourself through doing the things right now that you know will be better for you. It's an action. Choose to forgive. And then what happens? Let's look at the quote that I chose for today. There were some good quotes about forgiveness, let me tell you. But this one I really like. It's from Oprah Winfrey, and she says, true forgiveness is when you can say, Thank you for that experience. Isn't that good? True forgiveness is when you can say, thank you for that experience. Thank you for that experience. Like it happened. This thing happened. And I acknowledge that it happened. And if you need to practice forgiveness around it, it was something that wasn't good. But if you're paying attention, then you can acknowledge, hey, it happened. I need to learn from it and grow from it. So there's a story that I've told many times. So for those of you who have been with me for a while, you're going to hear it again. I consider myself a very sensitive person. And some years ago, I'm going to say like 10, 15 years ago, there was someone who I was close to, kind of by circumstance. And I know many of us have friendships like that. If you work with someone, sits next to you, you often become best friends. Or you live near someone, or you work in the same industry, you get close, you talk a lot. And this was how this friendship developed. And I know that this person is kind of gruff. Like her tone is, she's very forceful, kind of gruff. I'm very sensitive. There was a particular time when something was going on in my life, and it was very sensitive, and I told her about it. And she was very harsh in her reaction, which only made it worse for me. That was not what I needed in that moment. Well, I got mad at her. I got really mad at her. Like, how could you possibly talk to me in this way? That was so mean. I don't think I said anything to her, but inside I was saying this. I was so mad because of the way that she responded to me. So mad that I just pushed back and didn't talk to her for a while. But as I processed it, because I know you have to process things in order to survive, as I processed it, I realized I was I was to blame. I knew what she was like. I know how she talks to me and other people. She didn't change. I wanted her to be different. Well, so what I wanted? If you know how people are, you cannot expect them to be different just because in a particular moment you want them to be different. So I ultimately needed to forgive myself for making a bad choice of who I talked to at this tender time, and to forgive her for not being kind to me in a moment that I would have appreciated that. And then to accept people are the way they are. Now, that's a whole lot of work to get to that. I'm saying it to you now. It took a long time for me to meditate on these things, sit with them, process them. But the lesson, which is what Oprah's talking about, thank you for the experience. The lesson for me was be mindful of who gets to be in the inner circle. Not everybody gets to be there. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the people either. Just not everybody gets to be in the inner circle, period. But if you make the mistake of inviting somebody into your inner circle who doesn't deserve to be there, you pay the price. Maybe you both do. Because unbeknownst to that person, when things break, you're like, well, why? What happened? Why did it break? Well, it broke because you, in this case, I did not fully accept responsibility for the relationship. You see, we have complete control of ourselves. Believe it or not, we do. If you are able bodied and an adult, you certainly should have complete control of yourself. We often don't realize this because society says we have to do this, we have to do that. There are all kinds of guidelines and rules about how to be. And you decide what you want to follow or not. But ultimately, you are in control of yourself. And when you accept that, when you really accept that this is true, that what your life is like is on you, And different things are going to occur. You're going to have positive things happen. You're going to have encounters with other people that are difficult. What are you going to do? It's on you. It's on you to make the choice to handle it. And activating the muscle of forgiveness is a really powerful way of handling difficult situations. Also, without being able to process forgiveness, to choose that, you will end up with no relationships or no healthy ones because everybody makes mistakes. Every single person makes mistakes, no matter who you are. Charlene says, true, heaven is right here, right now on this earth, in this time, in this space, waiting or saying, I have to wait to do, or have to wait to have, or have to wait to get. It's never a good time. Just do it. Amen. Amen, Charlene. Just do it. It was a great, great, great slogan that Nike came up with. Do you take care of you? Be responsible for you. When you think about challenges that occur in relationships, and they happen. They happen. Everyone has bad experiences. There's not a soul who doesn't. How you respond to them is what counts. How you survive challenges is what counts. And learning from your experiences, that's what Oprah's talking about. Let's look at that quote again. When you learn from the experience, then you have the capacity to forgive. Oprah Winfrey says true forgiveness is when you can say, thank you for that experience. Thank you. I needed to learn that. And guess what? Just like in school, if you didn't learn it the first time, you're going to get that lesson again. You know how in school, if you ever failed a test, failed a class, you had to take it again? Who wants to do that? We don't want to. But in life, the same exact thing happens. If you don't learn from your experiences, you will repeat them. If you don't learn whatever the lesson is that you were supposed to get out of that experience, you're going to get that lesson again. And for me, I've discovered I would way rather get a new lesson. I don't want to have to repeat the old lessons, especially if they're painful. I want to be able to check that box off. Okay, now I know what to look for. Now I know when something like this happens, this is what I can expect. I'm going to learn from that experience and say thank you. Thank you for what I just learned. Thank you. You can even say thank you to the person when somebody does something crazy and you are fire breathing mad. Allow yourself to calm down. That's important. Allow yourself to process whatever it is. Calm down. And then you can say thank you. And if you really have learned from the situation, then you won't be in a situation where anything like that is going to happen again. Or if something begins to happen like that again, you know, then you know, I'm not, I'm not, I'm not going to allow myself to fall into the trap, whatever that trap might be. So that means that you have to practice incredible awareness. Oprah says true forgiveness is when you can say, thank you for that experience. So dissect the experience. What did you learn? What did you learn that will help you next time? That will make sure that next time you stop. You know, it's like, oh, there's a big chasm. You stop before you step into it, before you fall. Well, what can make you aware of that if you pay attention? That's the reason why I believe in the pause. I believe in taking a pause to reflect, taking the pause to meditate, taking the pause to really process what's going on. What happened? What can I learn from this? How can I be better next time? That doesn't just happen, by the way. You don't just get better because you get better. You have to work at it. I often use a school analogy because Most of us have been out of school for a while. Many people falsely believe that when they finished school, whatever school meant for them, that that was it, that they don't have to go to school anymore. I checked off that box. But the school of life is real. And when you think about the things that happen in your day, in your week, in your month, in your year, what are the lessons that you've learned? And one of the things that I do with my team, you can take that away, Fallon. One of the things that I do with my team is I ask for what I call the news every day. That is a, an itemization of what was accomplished during the day. Well, two things. What was assigned, what you assigned yourself or I assigned you, and what the outcome was. Did you get it done or not? And sometimes, how did you get it done? And this is a daily practice. This is the daily practice I do for myself. And I believe in lists. Write it down, check it off. Every time you check it off, it gives you energy, makes you feel good about yourself. Also, it helps you to know where you are. So then at the end of a week, at the end of a month, you can look back at your list and say, okay, how did I do? What have I avoided? What is a priority that I'm not paying attention to? And what do I feel good about because I've done it? If you do this practice, what it will help you do is to figure out your lessons. Because I make this list not my personal list has a bunch of work things on it, but it also has personal things on it every day. And so sometimes the things that I have to process that are tough, they are on there too. The things that I avoid, I put them on there because what is today's lesson? Choose to forgive. Figure out what happened. Figure out your responsibility in whatever it is that happened. Forgive yourself for whatever you did that was wrong and forgive the other person. You don't always have to say it out loud, I forgive you. That's not the point. The point is to do it. Your energy, the act of forgiveness has an energy around it. Your energy will be obvious, especially to the person. If it's between you and another person, you forgive that person, the way that you behave toward that person changes when you forgive them. And then, wow, there's peace. If you bring peace, then imagine you bring peace. Peace then infuses the air, the energy. It's really powerful. It comes with the act of forgiveness. I forgive myself for not being perfect. I forgive myself for not doing a good job in this situation. I forgive myself for whatever it is. I forgive you for how you talk to me. I forgive you for how you handled whatever the situation may have been. I forgive you. I forgive you. And then we can move on. And how you move on is by learning from the experience. You don't just say, okay, I forgive you and keep moving because even then, if you forgive someone, but you don't extract the lesson, you can repeat it. No one wants to repeat those bad experiences. So you have to figure out the lesson, just like in school. What was I supposed to learn here? What can I take forward? What do I never want to take forward again? Figure that out. That's what you're grateful for the experience and for the knowledge that you gained from the experience. When you take the time to process what you learned and apply it to your thoughts, words, and deeds, your life gets that much sweeter. I promise you, it really works. It really, really, really works. It's not easy, but it works. But guess what? It's a daily practice. It's a daily practice. Decide how you're going to live your life. Do the things you promised that you were going to do. Forgive yourself for not doing everything perfectly. Forgive others for not doing everything perfectly. Choose the positive. Choose joy. Choose forgiveness. I promise you it works. It doesn't work instantly, but it works. You have to go through the process. And sometimes there's a lot of pain in the process. But if you allow yourself to go through the process and heal and learn, like Oprah said, you learn from your experience. When you move forward, you can move forward with strength, with love and peace. And isn't that what we want? It is. Thank you for joining me today. I hope this helped you to look at the challenges that you may be facing right now in a better way. Study it this week. See what happens for you. And until next time, have a great day and make it count. Namaste.